All right. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see so many people here tonight. Welcome to the Marshall W. Allworth Planetarium. My name is Jessica. I am the director and will be your tour guide to the dark skies tonight. You also met Braden, one of my students who is helping out tonight. And we have a very special show joined with Starry Skies North, who I will just turn it over to you, actually, if you'll talk into that so people online can hear.
Sounds good. Awesome. Hello, everyone. So I'm Andrew Papke-Larson. I'm with Starry Skies North. Thanks again for coming tonight. This week is Starry Skies North Celebrate the Night Sky Week. So we're super excited to be here and partnering with the planetarium. We've got a lot of great events going on this week. Tomorrow night, I'm just going to give you a quick update. So if you'd like to attend to any more, you're more than welcome to. Tomorrow night we'll be at Fitgers. We've got a free live concert that's going to be going on there. Some appetizers, some raffles that's going on, and a silent auction. And then on Friday night, we're doing stargazing out in Wisconsin Point. Saturday, we'll be at the aquarium with some naturalists. So talking about animals and impacts of light pollution at the aquarium. And then Saturday evening, we'll be in Canal Park stargazing again, just down by the lift bridge. So feel free to come and join us for anything else too. But so glad you're here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things before we get into the show. If at any time you need to leave, you are welcome to do so. You'll just exit through that door right there, the same one you came in with. And just be careful when you head out because, it does get a little dark in here. The other thing is if you have any questions throughout the show, feel free to ask. I can't always see hands when it's dark and I'm sitting at the computer running things, so you're welcome to just ask your question. If you're not comfortable with that, you can always come find us at the end of the show as well. All right, I think that is all for right now. I'm gonna head to the back and we'll get started. All right. So, given the theme of this week is, celebrate the night sky week, celebrate our dark skies that we have. Our show tonight is talking about those dark skies, talking about things that affect dark skies like light pollution, but also celebrating the unique opportunities that we have here in Minnesota. And then we will end looking at some of the really cool things that you can find in our dark night skies. But to get us started, I'm going to show a short video from the International Dark Sky Association, talking a little bit more about this topic just to give a good intro to everything.
We live on the surface of a planet, spinning on its axis once every 24 hours. Its rhythms of day and night are embedded in the biological makeup of all life. During the day, we bathe in the glow of the sun. As night approaches, darkness takes over. It's a time to rest, to rejuvenate, to marvel at the beauty of the night. Until just over a century ago, our night skies were very dark. Now, even the wilderness is invaded by light. Our cities glow at night. Buildings are lit up. Unshielded lights blind us as we travel along our streets and roads. All these artificial lights overpower the darkness. The waste of energy is obvious, even from space. Much of that yellow glare the astronauts see comes from streetlights. They produce most of the light pollution on the planet. The glare is scattered by the atmosphere, creating sky glows over the landscape. We are losing the dark of night at the speed of light. Light pollution threatens the health of every living thing on Earth. Lights at night disrupt plant growth. Unshielded lights contribute to the deaths of countless land and sea animals each year. Migrating birds crash into illuminated buildings. Newly hatched sea turtles mistake the glow of electric lights for the shimmer of the ocean's surface. Bright lights at night also directly affect humans. Drivers and pedestrians temporarily blinded by poorly designed lights have suffered tragic accidents. Light pollution poses a silent threat to our health. Exposure to light at night disrupts the circadian rhythms that regulate our sleep cycles. People working at night under bright lights or living in light-polluted cities face a higher risk of developing diseases such as breast and prostate cancer. Here is a night sky with typical light pollution. On a good night, only the brighter stars and planets pierce the glow. This is what the night sky might look like if we could remove the light pollution. That faint band of light stretching across the sky is the Milky Way, our home galaxy. Because of light pollution, many people have never seen it. Astronomers know all too well the problems caused by lighting up the night. They need clear, dark skies to study the many fascinating objects in the universe. Light pollution simply washes out their view of the cosmos. Lighting up the night sky wastes money and fossil fuels. To keep a 100-watt light bulb turned on every night for a year takes the equivalent energy output from burning half a ton of coal. Multiplied by the billions of lights blazing up from Earth, the cost of energy we use to light up the night is colossal. While lighting is needed, there are some simple things we can do to ensure that it's neighborhood friendly, energy efficient, and helps preserve dark skies. We can replace light fixtures that send light up to the sky with ones that direct light down, exactly where we want it. They're called fully shielded fixtures. We can also illuminate only the places that need it. And of course, we can just turn off unnecessary lights. These are smart ways to use lighting. They offer simple solutions to problems caused by light pollution. We have a choice between wasting resources by sending light to the sky or learning to use light more responsibly. Light pollution is a problem each of us can help solve. Together, we can bring back the dark of night to planet Earth.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what some of this stuff means. We'll start off talking about light pollution. Now, there is natural sources of light pollution like our moon, which is not what we mean when we talk about this. What we mean is artificial light pollution. So that's light coming from, things that we have made. And if we take a look at the United States, this is a map of light pollution in the US. What we're seeing here is measurements of how bright the night sky is. Where you see areas that are red and pink and white, those are extremely bright night skies, so we have a lot of artificial light pollution. You would not be surprised to find that these are centered around major cities. And then when you go into more of the blues and the grays, that's where you're seeing little light pollution. Now, we do see some areas in the western US where we have no light pollution, but that's because those are areas that are largely uninhabited. We don't have people there making lights and putting up street lights to light up the night sky. And of course, the eastern half of the US looks horrible for night sky viewing. We have a lot of light pollution because there's a lot of people who live here, and we have a lot of big major cities. But to give you a little bit of a sneak, if we look right up here at northern Minnesota, you'll see that we are a little bit special here, but we'll come back to that. So when we're describing how bright or dark a night sky is, we use something called the Bortle scale. It's a scale from 1 to 9 that rates how bright the night sky is due to artificial light pollution. So a scale of 9 would be really bad. You see like nothing in the night sky. Just think like deep middle of a large city. Then if you go, mid-range 4 or 5, that's more of a suburban sky. So you're seeing, some of the brightest stars, the brightest planets, but not too much more than that. And then we have all the way down to a level 1. That is what we call a pristine dark sky. That is a sky that has no artificial light pollution. And that is ideally what we want if we want to enjoy the wonders of the night sky and all of the things that we can see in our universe as part of that. So to give you another look at the scale, this is kind of how the sky would look in the different Bortle levels, again with 8 and 9 being middle of a big city and 1 being no light pollution at all. All right, if we take a look at that light pollution map again, but just look at Minnesota. Really not surprising, right around the cities, we've got lots of it. Duluth, has got some. We see lights from the Iron Range, but right up here in the very northern parts of the state, we actually have level 1 dark skies. This region is part of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, and in recent years has been named an International Dark Sky Sanctuary. Now, there was a lot of work that went into getting that designation, but what it means is it is a large area of land that has pristine skies, no light pollution, no artificial light pollution. And getting that designation also means that the people there have to continue to work to preserve those dark skies. And it's a recertification process that they have to go through to show that they are continuing to preserve these and keep these dark skies. Now, the Boundary Waters is actually the largest dark sky sanctuary in the world, and it's in our backyard. Those pristine level 1 dark skies are just a couple hours away from us, which is an incredibly unique opportunity because, as we saw, the eastern US, especially east of the Mississippi, we don't get that. There's like a little bit at the very top of Maine, but other than that, we have it. We have those dark skies. So I always think it's really important for our community to realize what a unique opportunity we have and understand why the Boundary Waters and why Voyagers is working so hard to keep these skies that we have. because it is something you don't get to see that often anymore. All right, well, let's take a look at what some of these dark skies mean. So I'm going to start us off here. We are going to head into the nighttime. And this is, close to what we would see here in Duluth, in the city. Downtown Duluth, we have about a level 7 sky. If you get a little bit further out, you end up with closer to level 4 skies, where you can see a little bit more and start to make out the Milky Way. But of course, if we head all the way up to the boundary waters, this is what our sky would look like. We can see in these good dark conditions a couple thousand stars up in our night sky. And as we look at those stars, you may notice that some of them appear to make shapes, right? We can play connect the dots with the stars. And those shapes are what we refer to as the constellations. Now, there are, according to the International Astronomical Union, 88 constellations that are recognized by that group. There are, in reality, thousands of constellations because just about every culture around the earth has their own pictures that they make out of the stars, has their own stories that they tell with these stars. So while the constellations you may know are Greek constellations, those are the most commonly known. Those aren't the only ones, and they're certainly not the right or official ones. We can make so many different pictures and tell so many different stories out of these stars. Now, if I head us around to the east, we can pick up a few other things that are visible in our night sky, like planets. Currently, we get Saturn, which is pretty visible right after it gets dark. It does look just like a point of light to your eyes, but if you have a pair of binoculars or a telescope, you are able to look in closer and can see more of the planet, and even start to see those beautiful rings that surround the planet. And depending on how good your telescope is, in addition to seeing the rings, you may also make out this gap, this big gap in the rings, which is called the Cassini division. All right. And then coming up a little bit later in the night this time of year, and let's just go ahead and go a little bit later into the night so we can see it. We have the planet Jupiter. Again, looks like a point of light to your eyes, but with a pair of binoculars or a telescope, we can make out more detail. Yes, you can see the bands of different colored clouds through a telescope. And usually you can also see 4 points of light on either side of Jupiter. These are actually the largest moons of Jupiter, known as the Galilean moons, because the astronomer Galileo is the one who discovered them. All right. Now, there are a few other things that we can see in the night sky that are beyond our solar system. First up, we're going to take a look at this nice little fuzzy band here. This fuzzy band is our Milky Way galaxy, the galaxy that we live in. Our galaxy is shaped like a disc, like a frisbee, and we're situated inside of it, about halfway between the center and the edge. Now, most of the 200 billion stars that are in our galaxy are too far away for us to see as nice little pinpoints. So all of that light blurs together to create this kind of fuzziness or haziness. And it's shaped like a band because our galaxy is shaped like a disk. We're inside of that, so we see most of the light concentrated in the band, which is the disk of our galaxy. And if we look over to the south, you will see the Milky Way looks even more bright and intense. That's because during the summer, which it is still technically summer, but during the summer, when you look towards the south at the Milky Way, you're actually looking towards the center of our galaxy. That's where there's just a lot more stuff in that direction. So we see a lot more light, and the Milky Way itself looks a bit thicker, a bit bigger. But you can also make out these dark streaks. And that's where we have gas clouds, clouds of gas and dust that are blocking our view of the stars that are behind them. And so they create these dark streaks. All right. Now, in addition to all of this, there are some other things that we can see. Now, a lot of these you do need a pair of binoculars or a telescope to really see well. But there are some really, really cool, what we call deep space objects that are visible to us in our dark skies from here on Earth. A deep space object is just anything that's outside of our solar system. So we'll start off looking up here in the southern sky, where it's not quite visible to the naked eye. But if you point your telescope in between these two stars here, you will see what's known as the Ring Nebula. And let me just bring this up for us. So the Ring Nebula is what we call a planetary nebula. A nebula is just a gas cloud in space. A planetary nebula is a gas cloud in space that's the result of the death of a small star about the size of our sun. Now, the term planetary really has nothing to do with planets. It's a bit of a misnomer. But essentially what happens when a small star dies is it starts to puff out its outer layers, and those gases just kind of float away. And this happens over and over again until all you're left with is the dead core of the star, which we call a white dwarf, surrounded by all of this hot gas that once used to be part of the star. While the gas is hot, it glows, and we see that glowing gas, and we call it a planetary nebula. All right. Over in, let me find it real quick. Over in the west, and I'll just turn us over there, is one of my personal favorite objects to see through a telescope. This is the Great Globular Cluster of Hercules. And let me just bring that up. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Clicked on the right thing this time. This is the Great Globular Cluster of Hercules. So a globular cluster is a group of stars. These typically have tens to hundreds of thousands of stars that are packed in really close to each other. And when you look at them through a telescope, because you see so many stars so close together, it looks like a collection of like glittering jewels. One of my students has described it as like if you blew a puff of glitter into the telescope. It's just so pretty, and I love looking at it. All right. For our last few, I'm going to turn us back around to the east and point out first an object that you can see with just your eyes. You do not have to have a telescope. And it is this little fuzzy blob sitting right here in the east. This is the Andromeda Galaxy. It is the only galaxy outside of our own that you can see with just your eyes. You do not have to have a telescope. If you do have a telescope, then what you're going to see is a little bit more detail, a little bit more than just a little fuzzy blob. You will see another beautiful spiral galaxy like our own. In fact, the Andromeda Galaxy is bigger than our galaxy, containing about twice as many stars as we have. And to end us out, we're going to go a little bit later into the night, give you a couple of things that you can look forward to in the winter sky. And our first one is the Pleiades star cluster. You may know it as the Seven Sisters. This is a great thing to try and find in the night sky because it is very bright and you can't actually see it even in light pollution. Like even here downtown Duluth, you can see the Pleiades star cluster up in the night sky. And then last, here in the sword of our constellation Orion, we have the Orion Nebula, which is another gas cloud, but this one is, and let me just make it a little bit brighter so we can see it better. This is what we call a star-forming region. So it's a giant gas cloud where stars and solar systems are being created. So that's just some of the many, many things that we can see in our dark skies. If you want to see these things for yourself, I highly encourage you head up to the Boundary Waters where you can experience these pristine level 1 dark skies. But if you can't get up there, there are some other ways that you can enjoy it. We actually have a camera situated on the roof of the Chickawauk Museum, at the Chickawauk Museum and Nature Center at the end of the Gunflint Trail. And that camera runs pretty much every night, taking an image once a minute of the skies that it's seeing. And so you can always go to our website, and there's a link there for the Chickawauk All Sky camera, and you can see what the camera is seeing and watch these beautiful time-lapse videos of what the night sky looks like up right at the edge of the Boundary Waters, not quite in them. Quick note, what we have rising up right now, that's not the sun, that's the moon. Remember I said the moon was a source of natural light pollution? You can see just how bright it really is and how it drastically changes what we can see. So that's another note. If you're wanting to experience truly dark skies, you're going to want to go on a night when the moon isn't up. And now we do have the sun coming up. Another reason you might want to check out the all sky camera is, of course, watching the skies in very northern Minnesota. We are privy to some beautiful light shows, which is, of course, our aurora borealis. So this is the video from the night of March 23rd and March 24th when we had the really, really big aurora display. Oh, it's stunning. So yeah, lots of good things to be seen with the all sky camera. And again, you can get to that from our website. All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of our show as the sun comes up and the northern lights fade away. I hope you enjoyed learning a bit more about, dark skies, preserving our dark skies, our unique opportunities that we have here in Minnesota, and some of the really, really cool things that you can see up in these dark skies. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right, well, if you do, I will be back here. Yes. The Andromeda Galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. Pretty far. Yeah. All right. Well, I will be back here if there are any other questions. As you head out, Brayden will be passing out some solar eclipse glasses. We are handing those out in preparation for the solar eclipse happening on October 14th. Please, when you take these, make sure that film on the glasses you do not scratch or puncture, because that is what is protecting your eyes, making it safe to look at the sun. And if you want more information, we will be having a viewing party here that day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on October 14th. And we're very excited. I saw hands over. Yeah. We will see it as a partial eclipse from here. Yes. Yeah, so we won't see total, but we will see a partial. And that is especially why we want to pass out these eclipse glasses, because if you want to see that partial eclipse, you've got to use safety precautions to make sure that you don't hurt your eyes. And these eclipse glasses are the exact way to do that. And keep it handy, because we have yet another eclipse, solar eclipse, coming up April of next year. And you'll be able to use them for those as well. All right, well, thank you everyone so much for coming out. Thank you. Have a safe trip home, a wonderful rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you here again in the future.